Now is the time to consider hosting a live event because event ticket sales among the creators, podcasters, and other solo entrepreneurs rose by 500% compared to 2024. So people are clearly open to the idea of coming and seeing their creators in person. Why? There are a few reasons. One of them is the fact that the fans do seek much deeper engagement with their favorite creators. If you think about the highlights of pandemic, right? We were all stuck inside. We were all craving that interpersonal connection, and we kind of like pretty much we got stuck staring at each other through the screens. Some people still have that habit, but you see more and more people now craving to have that more of an in-person connection. And the creator economy gave birth. The creator economy itself kind of like developed through the pandemic and really, kicked into the higher gear, and it gave birth to a lot of new creators who up until the past couple of years didn't really have an opportunity to go in front of their viewers and actually meet them in person. And this is one of those factors that will really affect, I think, especially going into 2026, more and more creators hosting live events, but also more and more viewers being open to the idea of coming and seeing you in person. The other part of it is really, and it might be controversial, oversaturation of the video content because there's just so much right now going on the platform. Like myself, I subscribe to quite a few folks. I don't watch them all the time. I subscribe and keep my subscription as kind of like, a sentiment part and in part just show of support to those creators. But I can think of some of those creators that I used to watch religiously that I'm just like behind probably at least a couple of months worth of videos. Simply because life gets away, life gets more complicated, right? There are a lot of things happening, just in general, again, life is lifing. And also, it kind of like gets a bit old watching and interacting with the same type of content. So for my content myself, I try to circle and kind of like resubscribe or find new creators to follow to just like refreshen my sub box. But I think for a lot of other viewers, it's the same situation. They just need a different way of interacting with you because just consuming the video content over and over again is not for everyone. And I think with the amount of creators out there, it just a way for you to separate yourself from the crowd and give an opportunity to folks to engage with you in person, which again will drive deeper engagement, which will drive deeper loyalty with them. Price is also a factor. Creator events are actually on average about 40% cheaper according to Axios, primarily because of the fact that again, we don't have to support millions of dollars worth of production unless you're the kind of creator who wants to create that kind of live production. But if you compare yourself to even live sports, you don't necessarily warrant that kind of a high ticket price because, again, live sports, concerts by Live Nation, there's so many other actors and participants who are kind of like, chipping away off of the ticket price as their share of the revenue. In your case, it's probably going to be your team, it's going to be the venue, someone who's promoting you, but the rest of it is really yourself and your crew, right? And because of that, you can afford charging less. And also, frankly, I think the viewers will be a lot more price sensitive at the very beginning, especially for the first time show. If you create some, credibility as someone who hosts regular live events and they actually worth, a higher ticket price, you'll be able to charge more. But at the very beginning, you're going to charge less and it's absolutely fine. It's actually going to work to your benefit because again, if you think about individuals in the current economic environment, you want to go to like anything. For example, here in the United States, NBA, NHL, MLB game, NFL game, you want to forget about UFC or any other sports like Formula One is one of my favorites. You're at least shelling out like $400 or $500 for normal experience, right? It's like probably relatively inexpensive tickets, but also concessions and all the other things that you might potentially purchase in the arena. That's a lot. And it's one person. And if you bring obviously your friend or your family, forget about it. So because of this, you have a leg up on a lot of the competition, so to speak, in the space of live events because you can afford to charge less and the viewer will be a lot more responsive to that idea because again, they cannot necessarily afford going to a regular live event. Concerts, by the way, as well. A lot of artists today starting at like a couple $100. So you are at advantage right now, my friend. Then you also can focus on much more niche markets. Again, unless you putting together like a massive production that requires a massive NFL style stadium, you probably can get away with a much smaller venue, which means you're not as limited by the selection of venues across, say, the entire country, wherever you live, or across the world if you decide to tour across multiple different countries. That allows you, depending on the format that you pick for the live event, to go into the places where live events don't go, period. So it's actually, there's going to be a level of novelty, which means you're going to be exposed to potentially new crowds who don't usually have any interaction with you, but because they also don't get any live events in their town, they might just stick around with their friend, or they might just go on their own because they'll hear like, hey, there's this person hosting an event in my town. My town never gets those kind of things. I might as well go spend $20 and watch it, or $50, whatever you decide to charge. And finally, you can also leverage live events from the perspective of whoever you are as a creator, genuinely, right? Like, and I have a list here, like the videos, the short form, the podcast, writing, if you're writing a newsletter or a blog, you may be a comedy creator, you're doing animation, you want to do some sort of like interesting style of live performance, or just in general, maybe like a Q&A. Maybe all your tour is just meeting your fans, doing a little bit of a Q&A, maybe like if you're an animation artist, doing some maybe live drawing and ruffling it out to the audience, right? Something like interesting like that. There's so many opportunities for you to go and leverage not only the style of content that you make and the type of topics you cover, but something completely different. Because again, people will be there for you. As I said, they're going to be seeking that deeper engagement with you. They're not necessarily there to see the same type of content because there is an oversaturation of it. And you have that benefit of being relatively cheaper compared to the other live events, being in those niche markets. So take advantage of that, experiment, do something interesting in the types of engagements that you can set up that does not necessarily conform to your standard interactions via your content, because that's the beauty of the live events. You can go and create something completely different. And if that sticks, if that's popular, if your audience responds to this, guess what? You can go and take it on a tour. Now, assuming you like the idea, the natural question will be, okay, how does this affect your content pipeline, right? Because if you're a regular creator like myself who posts every week, every day, whatever your cadence might be every month, that might interrupt that cadence. So what happens to this? But also from a monetization perspective, like what kind of opportunities do you have? And this is where I hopefully will open your eyes on the fact that there's actually quite a lot in front of you thanks to the live events. Let's focus on the content side for a second. From the content perspective, the good news is that live events do not only have to be just event itself. You can make it a very exclusive experience and not broadcast it, not show it to anyone, and that's kind of like the format that you pick, and that kind of like maybe drives a little bit more of a desire from your viewers to go see you in person. But you can also actually leverage it and help your content pipeline by essentially potentially live streaming it and selling VOD, selling kind of like the streaming tickets access, because a lot of the platforms today allow you to do this kind of like pay-per-view style model. You can record the VOD, right? The full kind of like video, and essentially use it as something that you're going to post on your channel later, maybe when you're done with your tour. You can create short form content. You've seen a lot of the stand-up comedians do that, and they do those kind of like short form snippets of their live performances and use it as a way to kind of like interact with their audience in a way to show them like, hey, here's what the kind of experience you might have. So come see me live for the rest of the hour. But I'm giving you that 30-second, 60-second snippet of what it feels like to be in one of those events. You can do UGC, so essentially user-generated content. You can promote it via your audience. You can ask your audience to do something. Maybe it's part of the content itself during the live presentation. Maybe, as I said, if you're ruffling off something during the event, maybe you ask them like, hey, post a video about your experience and you're going to be entered into a raffle, right? Like, there are other different ways for you to leverage the content that not necessarily is produced by you, but will help you promote your tour or you as a creator. And then you can record a live podcast. A lot of podcasters actually do that. They're touring and they're doing live recordings during the tour. So they technically still continue to produce the content. They just now do it in front of their audience rather than sitting in the booth or somewhere in their studio. So it's another potential opportunity for you. Or you can even do summaries. Like, you did a tour, maybe that's a discussion, you had a guest, you discussed something, discussion was interesting. Record the entire presentation, even if it's just an audio format, put it through one of the AI tools, you get your summary notes, and all of a sudden out of those summary notes you can write up a nice newsletter, a blog post, something that you can go and push back into your audience. And the beauty of it, you honestly can do all of them. Like, you can literally do all of those things within a single format of an event. It's a lot. There are a lot more logistics, right? Setting up the camera, setting up the audio, setting up the lighting. Like, there are a lot of things for you to worry about depending on how far you're going to go down this list and how many of these things you would want to kind of like circle and apply to your event. But the good news, they're available to you. So use them as you desire. And from the revenue perspective, the beauty of it is Ticket sales is obviously the straightforwardest one because you're selling tickets for people to attend unless you offer it for free for some other reason. And maybe the reason is you're going to have extensive, maybe even exclusive merchandise on site, something that will will enable your fans to tell other fans that, hey, I was part of this tour, right? There's some memorabilia, something unique that they can go and purchase only during that tour. Again, comedians do that, musicians do it, a lot of other folks do that already for years and decades now. So you're just kind of like leveraging the same business model and applying it to your live event. And finally, no one stops you from selling brand deals. Yes, brand deals for the video is a little bit of a different conversation than brand, deal for the tour, but the pitch is very similar. If it's especially the kind of brand that primarily partners with you because of the fact that you're targeting the same type of audience, you can tell to this brand like, hey guys, I'm actually gonna now go see those people in person. So that's gonna be like highly qualified potential leads for their brand if they're targeting that kind of audience. So sponsor me, pay a portion of my expenses for this. I'm gonna have your logo somewhere on the screen or somewhere on the banners or tickets, wherever, right? Like you guys can decide. Linears, there's a lot of different opportunities for you to place the brand logos and the brand presence throughout your live event. You can give them a shout out. You can actually have someone from that brand maybe in person, or you can have their product. If say it's a beverage, for example, partner, could you have those beverages available only and exclusively during the event? Could there be some sort of like small gift baggies placed on every seat at the event, including some of the products or samples from that brand partner? So there's a lot of opportunities for you to start flexing the ideas and basically saying like, hey, we're going to take this partnership outside of just the content and we're going to bring it in person live to this audience. As you can tell, there are a lot of different things you can do with live events. I think historically for some creators, live events kind of like feel like oxymoron to what you usually do because you probably got into the content creation because of the convenience. Again, don't get me wrong, I've been making videos in this room or the other room for the last like 8.5 years. So it's nice, it's convenient, but the idea of actually going and interacting with the audience sounds awesome to me as well. And I've been to some of these events and I've interacted with some of my favorite creators, and it's an awesome feeling, genuinely. Like you meet the people and it's kind of strange. You're like always used to seeing them in this box, and all of a sudden here they are in front of you, right? As tall or as short as they might be, and you go and interact, you have fun, you have a good conversation. So think about it. Again, if you're wondering, wait a second, I'm hearing a lot of the creators touring and doing other things, this is why. There's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of reasons why you should do it, and there's a lot of ways for you to monetize and actually make it a pretty profitable venture for yourself. And you don't have to sign up for the world tour immediately. You want to test it out? Pick a town, pick a small venue, pick a format, test it out. See how it goes. You can even do it for free if you're really worried about the quality and you're really worried about the experience. Ask people to, I don't know, chip in and have a minimum order quantity for the venue, because that's how the venue will allow you to perform maybe in there, right? Some of the comedy clubs, they're not performing every single day. Maybe there's a comedy club in the area and they need that kind of revenue, especially right now in the current economic environment. So you might have an opportunity to go to even test it, try out the format. Think of it and treat it the same way as you treat video content. You didn't just arrive at your format of video. You slowly grew into it. You developed the ideas. You saw the feedback. You corrected. Same thing applies to live type events. You don't have to come up with the entire format right away. You can start small, experiment, get feedback, adjust. Again, try it out, experiment, get feedback, adjust more until you're ready. This is exactly what all the Broadway shows are doing. They all have off-Broadway time when they test out and they try out and they change the scripts and they change the way they set up the stage. They don't just go and show up on the Broadway itself immediately. They have a period when for a few months, they run the show and they just test it, and it's a discounted because the expectation is you're beta testing the product. Same thing happens with the comedians. Comedians go and they first tour very small venues. They test out, they try out their material, and they slowly grow and grow to the point where they can actually go to the big venue and they have an entire special. So monitor for what kind of activities you have, what kind of creators and what they do in your niche for the inspiration. Consider all of these factors that I brought up to you as part of the inspiration as well. Come up with something interesting and go out there and try it. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions or thoughts on this, if you want to talk about that. I love business operations, so always happy to provide you with some feedback. Otherwise, I'll see you next Saturday. Peace.